Hello everyone. Tonight we are going to be working in watercolors. I'm going to be doing a base layer in watercolor, and then I'm going to be using my watercolor pencils on top of that. So this one is a seahorse. You can get the reference photo over at my website. Link is in the video description. And let me make sure, I'll wait till you guys say you've got audio and everything is going. Okay, we are good. So the paper that I'm working on tonight, this is the Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 300-pound watercolor paper. Now, I don't buy Fabriano anymore. They completely changed the way the paper is. This is something old that I had from the past, so that is why I'm going with this one. I did not pre-stretch this because it's 300 pounds and I shouldn't be using enough water tonight. It should be fine. And let's see, other information on this. I've got it taped down with an acid-free or a pH-neutral tape. Now, the one, and I don't know if I have it linked in my video description right now, but the pH-neutral tape that I use, the one that I've been getting on Amazon, they changed the description last I heard, and it no longer said it was pH neutral. This one is, you can see what I've got there. You want the one that actually says it's pH neutral to tape your work. And you may be thinking, well, I'm not going to leave tape on there, so it's not a big deal, but it leaves residue behind. And we don't want that residue to be questionable because we don't want that over the years to start to yellow the paper. And that's what that would essentially do. Like I know of artists, actually I just saw this recently with a print I had bought, they had used regular masking tape. Now that regular masking tape will cause the paper to yellow over time. So not ideal, not really what we're looking for. So things you just want to be aware of there. Now tonight for the base layer, I am using the Schmincke, which I'm probably saying wrong. Where is my paint? I've got these little tubes here. That is not the color I'm using, but I've already put some out. This is a color I use so often. It's actually here from the last time I used that. But I've got this cute little, oh, that should be in my description. I don't know if it is, but this little ceramic palette. This is so nice for watercolor. If you're using the tubes like that and you have to mix your colors, super handy. I should have enough out. I might have to add more just in case. Let's grab it. I'm using phthalo blue and phthalo green. Let's find it. Here is phthalo green. And of course, as always, you can bid on this over on my website. Link is in the video description. I think the starting bid is $55. It's a 5x7. So it will fit, actually, I want to show you that too. Actually, I want to double check it'll fit the mat. I'm pretty sure it's fine. I did check earlier. Okay, where is the phthalo blue? Because I actually might need that later. Come on. I know you're in here because I've never moved you. Oh, the label just doesn't look like phthalo blue to me. That's the problem. Oh, what are you? Deep sea green. That's probably what I used more. I think that's what I'm... So anyway, there are my colors. And I'm rolling over stuff. Get out of the way. I did get the battery backup. God, those are expensive, but I got a very large battery backup. So if I happen to blow the circuit switchy, whatever those things are that I did last week when I used the hairdryer, I shouldn't have to restart the stream. I just have to go turn the power back on, but the computer will be fine. So let's go ahead and I'm going to, so this is my cleaner of the water. I'm going to use the dirty water because I'm actually making such a dirty mix. And I forgot to change the water before I started. Normally when I work in watercolor, what I do is keep these little mason jars and it's distilled water. That is important. Whatever color I had mixed previously, that does not smell good. Whoa, that's foul. Some colors have such a weird smell to them. Anyway, I keep them in these little mason jars and I just change it out with distilled water. You want to use distilled water and not tap water. Tap water has so much crap in it, it can actually cause colors that are light pass, paper that is good and archival to yellow, to cause, like, you don't want tap water. You want to go with distilled water. It's not super expensive. You can get a gallon of it for $1 or less at most stores. And let's see. Yeah, Nick's got the link for the acid-free tape from Jerry's. That's where I would order. Oh, we've already got I've got to say it quietly, from Robin for, she said, super fat greyhounds. I don't know if you'll, wait, I'm not going to touch it. Let's see. You boys want a super chat? I guess that's a yes. Okay, you got your first super chat. Say thank you, Robin. Don't sneeze on me. No snooting on me. Keep your snoots to yourself. Okay, back up. Good boy. Easy. Good. That was a nice one, Wade. Okay, go lay down. Go lay down. Wade got me earlier really bad with a treat. I mean, he gets too excited and he chomps, and it's like, I shouldn't be able to feel that much of your teeth hurting my fingers. Lay down. You're both not listening. Lay down. They seem to think that during live streams that they no longer have to listen to anything I tell them to do. And they're like, I'm just going to do what I want because I'm a cute hound. Oh, look at those faces. Thanks again, Robin. No, you stay there, Wade. Happy voice from me does not necessarily mean you get something. Okay. So anyway, that is the thing with the water. So what I'm going to do, I've got to re-wet. This is like completely dry in here. This is, I mean, we're talking, I probably last used that color a year ago. It is really dry. Whoops, wrong camera. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and wet that. It's going to need a decent amount of water. Now, I say a decent amount of water, but I don't want this to be super thin because of time constraints on the live stream. I don't have time to build this up in multiple layers. I'm going to be slopping this on there pretty fast. So I am using, this is a number 10 round Mimic Creative Mark brush. I really like these brushes. We're going to go with this dark teal color. And the first thing I need to do is just outline my seahorse. This is a really greenish blue color. Now, this is one of the things that I like better about watercolor than Inktense. Sometimes, not always. But I mean, I guess it depends on what I am trying to accomplish. But I like that right now I'm not using great techniques. It's kind of running, kind of blotchy. I can come and smooth this out and reactivate it later, and it is not even going to matter. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. I would like a little bit more blue in this, I think, though. So let me get that. Now, one of the things you're going to notice as I work, the paint starts to build up and pool down here. That is because I am working upright. Usually when you work in watercolor, working flat is going to give you better results. In my case, because of my back and my neck, that's not really possible. So that is why I'm doing it that way. And here's the thing. Sometimes we think of mediums, like, let's say, I know some of you guys are, I've heard from some of you that you're colorblind. You may see things a bit different than someone else. It may give you different results, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. So let's say we'll use the watercolor as an example. Yeah, there we go, get some of that blue in there. With the watercolor as an example, I can't work flat. My results are going to be different. The way that this starts to run and hit at the bottom, whatever, that's my style. I mean, in one sense, my bad technique there is almost giving me something that's a bit more unique. Don't feel like, because like if you do have a physical limitation like I do, don't feel like you can't do something as well as somebody else. Just because your results are different, it doesn't mean you can't make something that's super pretty. Oh yeah, I really like this color. Less of the green. We'll just let that fade into the green. Such a pretty color. And I think someone had asked, do I keep my frogs in my art room? I do, but they're the dart frogs and their tank is very enclosed. So paint fumes don't really get in there so much. There's not really good air circulation there. But I mean, I've oil painted in here and they've always been fine. I oil painted back when I used to have a White's tree frog 25 years ago, and I had him for 12 years and he was in the same room. I didn't realize, like, it didn't even cross my mind at the time I should be concerned, but he was fine as well. So yeah, I think that you should, I mean, try to ventilate it as well as possible, but the frogs haven't been overly sensitive. Like, but my canary, I would never bring, even when everything's dry, I wouldn't even bring my canary in here. They're so sensitive. But the frogs have been fine. But I mean, that's one of those things I think you need to make a judgment call on what you're comfortable with. And like I said, my dart frogs are in here. I don't know if I would want to oil paint with my tree frogs because they do get more air circulation in their tank than the dart frogs. So that would concern me a bit. But like I said, back years ago, before I had any idea, like when I was new, we tend to do things that we might not do once we learn a bit more. My frogs were always fine. And I mean, that White's tree frog was 12. And that's before I understood like proper care as far as testing for parasites and such like that. And so even living that long with it, we were good. Okay. And a big, huge ask from you guys, please share this or any other video that you watch. YouTube's algorithm right now, I mentioned this last week, my subscriber count was way down. I used to average like 4,000 new subscribers a month. Now it's 270. 270. This is not sustainable. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but I need your help. The best thing you can do to help me is to let other people know about if you follow along with a lesson that you enjoy, or if any of my videos you like, or any other artist. We all need your help. If you can share that, you can help us so much. And especially if you paint something and follow along with a lesson, if you can share the lesson that you took, like a link to that, when you share it on social media, that helps a lot. See how thick that was? That's because I did not have very much water mixed in. That's why it was so dark. Now, if I had more time on this, I might go through the trouble of using a masking fluid and mask out the seahorse so that I could just be pretty sloppy and messy as I filled in the background. But because the live streams, we do have a time limit there, I decided it'd be faster just to go ahead and paint around him. See how I want to pull that out? I don't want there to be a definite, like, heavy outline on that. So while the paint is still wet, I'm just going right up against the outline I have there. I miss the old Fabriano. This paper is nice to paint on. I wish they had not changed the way they make the paper. They claim they didn't change it, but anyone who's used it's like, yeah, it changed when you started printing money. That sounds shady. It was a legal thing they did with their government, I guess. Just want to take a little bit more time around that edge. Smooth his little snoot out. See, while that's still wet, see how I keep reworking these areas just to soften it out. Now, I'm okay. I actually want there to be some brush strokes, some blotchiness to it is what I'm going for. But I don't want that definite outline where you can see that I outlined the subject. That always looks a little bit weird. So that's what you see me spending a little bit more time working out. Like right here where it's building up because of me working upright, I've got to pull that up. Just stick my finger in there and dab that. See how I work in smaller sections? I'm not just outlining the entire subject and then filling it in. And the reason for that is I want to blend it while it's still wet. And it's watercolor. We can obviously reactivate that if we need to, but why make my life, harder than it needs to be? Let's get all of that in there, just doing section by section. My goal is to only need to do one layer on the background so that we're not spending all night filling this in. So it'll be a little bit lighter if you're going to bid on this guy. This teal is going to be a softer, lighter color, much more watercolor looking than the one you see than my reference sample. Okay, now I'm going to take some water and a paper towel. Actually, let's rinse this brush. Now you may notice that I'm rinsing it in the same, oh, you can't even see it. There we go. I'm rinsing the brush in the same cup that I was loading the brush with. Normally for watercolor, I wouldn't do that. It's like I mentioned earlier, I'm making a muddy mess right now on purpose, so it's fine. But I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to get that wet. And I'm just going to dab a little bit on here. Let's lift a bit off just to get some texture, because I don't want a perfectly smooth one shade type look. There we go. That's what I want. This one's a little too paper towel looking. I've got to go right up to the seahorse so that, again, we don't end up with that definite outline. So if I don't, we'll have one smooth area around his body and none It won't blend nicely into the rest. Now, for those of you, if you are working in Inktense, this step is not going to quite do it for you because that's not going to lift like this. And that's not to say that's a bad thing, it's just a different thing. It's one of the biggest differences between the mediums. And I'm just making sure that that outline isn't too defined. There we go. There is our background. I'm really happy with how that came out. Okay, so let me go ahead and dry this, and hopefully I won't trip the breaker thing again. Fingers crossed, everyone, and fingers crossed the battery backup works if it does. We're off to a good start. Now you can, if you're using the watercolor pencils, you could have done the same thing. You're just going to shade it in with watercolor first. It's just, or the pencils, it just takes longer. So for such a large area, time-wise, you know, I'm going to fill this in really quick. You're not even going to see this behind what's going to be here. But I think, oh, where'd my reference photo go? I think this one. Yeah, there we go. Well, part of this is going to be his tail. And then this all gets cut off. Actually, let me show you. Once we put the matte, this is a white matte. This would come, actually, whoever bids on this, you'll have the option. You can go with a black or a white matte. I think black will look better on this. But you can see I've got him, so he's really going to fill out that space nicely. Oh, and this is a good time. Kristen, thank you so much. Hold on one second. Look, they're completely unaware. Boys, bad cow, you want a super chat? Thank you so much, Kristen. Your guys are getting all the treats tonight, huh? People think you're too skinny. You think this is true? See, thank you, Chris. You be easy. Good boy. I get slobbered and making him be easy. Good boy. Okay, go lay down. Go lay down. Lay down. Lay down. I need to work with him on the whole lay down part being faster. Lay down. Yes, it is a turquoise color Cat's art pick. This is definitely very, actually, let me see if you can see a little bit better here, if that color is more accurate. Yeah, very, very turquoise color. Turquoise, teal, I call it all the same. The tea that I have for tonight, this, I linked it in the video description. Some of you had asked about it last week. This one is the decaf apricot. And just to give you an idea, this, I think it's 52 ounces, whatever, the biggest QT cup. I reuse these. But it is like 52 ounces, and I'll put 4 tea bags for one big, huge iced tea, and it is so good. So this being decaf, I've been safe drinking it like all day long, no problems. This one, and they also have a black sage, same company. Again, link is in the description to the apricot one. It's so good. Okay. Oh no, yeah, Art of Raven D said she's traumatized from looking at Fat Greyhound. Yeah, it's not healthy, not at all. I keep them in a healthy weight. I'm like, all the health, please keep all the health. Okay, let's see. Although if you look up pregnant Italian Greyhound, oh my God, it is the funniest thing you have ever seen. Like, especially the ones that have a lot of puppies, because they're so tiny. It's like, that's actually pretty entertaining to see. Okay, their little spindly legs. Let's get on to the dragon. So I'm actually gonna, that's it for that I wanted to do for the base of the watercolor here. I may come back to it because I'm gonna have to pull a little bit of teal, I'm sure, into a couple spots, but for now, I wanna go ahead and switch to my pencils. So the pencils I'm gonna use tonight, I have 3 of the watercolor pencils that all 3 I like. I have Derwent, least light fast of the bunch, but I actually really like working with them. So if you're looking for something for a sketchbook, you just want to experiment, see if you like it, I really, really do like, performance-wise, one of the top, for me anyway, is the Derwent watercolor pencils. I also have the Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle and the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer. They're both wonderful. The Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, some of the blues I was having a hard time getting dark enough, and then the Caran d'Ache Luminance, or not Caran d'Ache Luminance, Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelles, I had a little bit of trouble with some of the purples getting it dark enough. So, you know, all of these brands have some pros and cons. The Faber-Castell Museum Aquarelles, I believe they are supposed to be quite light fast. The Caran d'Ache are mostly too, and they're all marked on the pencils, so it's pretty easy to see which water. I'm going to need one of these to stay out with me. Hopefully I don't knock that down from where it's going to be. And I'll show you, I've got this really nice wood case I got for the Caran d'Ache back when the economy was a bit better. Now I'm over here budgeting like crazy. So if you too are budgeting like crazy, you do not need to get this wood case. The pencils are awesome. They have a 40 set. That's what I believe I linked in the description. They are really nice. Even with 40, you're going to be able to do anything you want with them. These mix beautifully, so I don't want you to feel like you have to get this big, huge. I mean, the wood box is nice, but if I were to buy it today, I wouldn't be able to afford it, in all honesty. So that is going to certainly, well, maybe if I stopped buying coral and treats for my canary, maybe then I could afford it. But anyway, this wood case, let me see if I can make it so you can see it a bit better. It's this beautiful wood. I know you can't see that much, but it's this beautiful wood. We'll flip it open. You've got your pencils in there. This is going to be a little bit of a pain to... Wait, you can kind of see that way. This is not practical at all. But anyway, you've got 3 trays, I believe, and all of these trays are that wood. Is it 3 or 4? 3. And I'm apparently missing a color in there. But they're super nice. And then these ones, I believe, are marked on the pencil. Yeah, if it's a 5-star or 2-star, whatever. Just to remind myself which ones are. Okay, 5-star are your most light fast. So that's what I want to say with 5s, 4s, and 3s. If I come across a pencil that is a 2 or a 1, that I'm not going to go with. But let's pick out some colors. So I need some nice reds. You are a 5-star, you're good. This burgundy type color, 5-star, you're good. Here's a deeper plum. Be good, be good. Oh, 2-star. Nope, I'm not trusting a 2-star. That's disappointing. Let's see. What are you? 3-star? Yeah, 3-star I'd be okay with. And you are crimson aubergine, something like that. You will be good. And like I said, the purples of these ones I know were not great anyway. I think when I need to go dark, I'm going to switch over to that more magenta or the teal color. And I need some... Get it, peach. Are you good? Yes, you are good. It's always disappointing when you have a set and you're like, I really want this. I can't use that color. You are not light fast. How about you? Oh, you're a good one. So I'm pulling out. These are the colors that I have pulled out so far. Just some different like lavenders and pinks. These should be good. And then I'm definitely going to need black and yellow. So let's pull. I'm going to go with, no. Yeah, we'll go with you, or kind of a more an orangey yellow. This one is, wait, are you good? Yep, you're 5-star, you're golden yellow. We'll grab you, and I need a black or a brown. So let's pull those out. Oh, that's a nice gray color. That should, French gray, absolutely. And we have ivory black and Mars black. Mars black should be the more opaque, although probably would prefer ivory, so let's grab you. Now, I don't want to jump to the black. The black I'm going to hold till the very end if I need any touch-ups and such. I don't want to just jump in, because if I start mixing that with red, now, to be fair, red and black, you're just going to get kind of a brick red color. So it's not the end of the world if those 2 colors mix together. Unlike if I were using oranges and a lot of yellows, if black mixes in with that, you get this ugly greenish, like, kind of looks like, actually, my shirt, this part of the shirt. You get this really like olivey, ugly, muddy. If that's not what you're looking for, you want to avoid the black with those colors. I typically will go with purples. If I need purple, I'd have to switch over to my Faber-Castell. because as we found out, well, like I said, the purple with the Caran d'Ache, not amazing, and then the one color I did want was not light fast. So let's go ahead and start shading this in. And the brush, you can use a water brush. I use that quite a bit. Today I'm going to, because I did not get those ready, so let's go ahead and I will just mix these with some of my smaller brushes. So this is a number 6 round, the Creative Mark Mimic brush. Did I say bush? Brush. I can talk really. And then I've also got a silver black velvet. This one is a number 4. And this brush will give me super tiny detail. So let's start with the lighter colors. When you're working with watercolor, we want to start with the lightest color and then work our way darker. So don't jump into going crazy dark from the beginning. I'm just going to lightly put in our grays here. And the blue that's on his snoot, great. I want that teal to blend in so that I end up with a, I want him to feel like he's a part of this background, because the reference photo did not have this background. It was just like brown and gray. So we want to make sure to pull some of that teal in so that he feels like he's a part of the scene. Now this guy has a lot of white little spots and such. I'm going to be doing that with my, do I have it over here? Please be in here so I don't have to go searching. Uh-oh, where did I put it? I'm gonna have to find it. I had it out not long ago. Oh, there it is. Oh, reach. I'm too old to reach. The Doc Martens Bleed Proof White is what I will be painting the white on, because it would just take me forever if I sat there and used my masking fluid to mask out all those white dots. If I was working larger, then I would likely take the time and do that. But in this case, I am just going to keep it simple, and we'll just paint the white dots on top. So I'm just coloring this in. These are so soft. They're so nice to work with. Huge, huge fan of watercolor pencils. And if you've been hesitant to try watercolor because you found them to be difficult in the past, watercolor pencils were kind of my gateway pencil, I guess you could say, gateway to watercolor. Because once I got comfortable with these, once I was ready to start watercolor, watercolor didn't feel so scary to me anymore. So if you've been afraid in the past, you may want to, and I would just say pick up a few. I wouldn't go out and buy the big, huge set. I would just get a few and see if you like working with them. You could even get like black, white, gray, just a couple colors, whatever you want in between that. I say black, white, and gray. Don't buy gray. Just get black and white. You can mix your gray. But just a few in there to give it a try and see if it's something that you enjoy. Now, I've used watercolor pencils from like Prang. Not the same animal at all. Like, they were not fun. I did not enjoy that. And I think that was one of the reasons early on I didn't love watercolor in general that much. I had used Prang. I had used these cheapy watercolors that were not pigmented, and they just didn't, like, I couldn't build up my color where I wanted. They were just all around kind of frustrating. Using quality materials will make a big, big difference. So if you wanted to get started with watercolor pencils, grab either, like I said, Derwent's probably the cheapest, but not as light fast, so keep that in mind. But they were very enjoyable to paint with. Faber-Castell and the Caran d'Ache. You can't go wrong with any of those as far as enjoyable levels. Now, I don't care if these are exact to the reference photo. I just want to get some variation, my general lights and darks where they are the same as the photo had. Most of this tail you're really not going to see. That all gets covered by the matte. Although I probably will come through and add teal in there a little bit later, just so that, because being a little bit picky about that, even though it's not necessary because you're not going to see it, I just want to fill in all the way to the edge, because that is me. Make sure this is... Oh, some are requesting to zoom in. I can do that. Let me double, let's see, that's the palette. That won't help. Let me see about zooming this in for you guys. Whoops, hit the right button, Lisa. You can do it. Nope, that's not it. Now this is overexposed a little bit. Mine is darker. That peach is not showing up at all. I apologize for that. Not really anything I can do about that. That's just annoying. I again apologize. Whoops. Let's stretch you and then make sure. Do the same over here. And then again, this reference photo is over on my website. I've had a few people complain that they couldn't see the reference photo, but you can just go get that from my site and you have the whole reference photo to see wherever you want on your screen. Okay, so I apologize. This is really, actually, let me see if you can see better over here. I want you to see where my peach is. Kind of. You can see where I'm just shading lightly around here, getting some of that peach in there. But unfortunately, that's not showing. And again, sorry for that. Let's go ahead and switch over to the reds and magenta. So we'll be using two of these. This one for me that I'm using is purplish red, and then I've also got scarlet red. I need to sharpen both of these a bit though. Now the nice thing too with the watercolor pencils, they do not have to be super sharp to work. I just need them sharper because I've got tiny detail going on here. Okay, so we've got this red. And I think the most important thing on this specific seahorse is that we get some variation. We don't want it all one solid red. We want it to fade. We want some peach and pink. We've got that gray we did earlier that is unfortunately not showing up for you. Maybe once I fill more of this in, I'll be able to adjust it so you can see it better, but I don't think if I adjust the cameras right now, it'll make a big difference. I'm going to pull before I get too far. I want to get some of this lavender. I have a feeling this isn't going to show at all either, so I apologize. This one is probably heather. Is that what they call it? Nope, this is manganese violet. If you have any questions, leave them now. I'll be answering those at the end of the video. So again, see how it's just variation. Oh, you cannot see that. Oh, let me see if I can do something. That is just, you can't even see what I'm doing. This is not, whoops, don't deactivate. That was the wrong video. Did I connect to you again? Hold on. There we go. You're back. Let me see. Can I move up the saturation? No, the saturation didn't really help. Ooh, that's a bit crazy. Calm down. Oh, here we go. That is looking better. A little too dark. But you can see where the peach and all of that is. Wish I could go somewhere in between the two. Let me see if I can brighten it. Whoop. That is kind of, it makes it super grainy though. Or like, hold on, noisy, that's the word I'm looking for. 9, and let's see if I can just pull brightness down then. Oh, that's actually pretty accurate. Looks a bit better. I think that is what we're going to go with. You can see a little bit better what I have. Now the color here too, it doesn't look super saturated. Whoops. There we go. It doesn't look super saturated, but it's going to once I add water. And I am not pushing very hard. I would rather build this in lots of light layers so I don't damage the tooth of the paper. One of the things I would definitely recommend is do not, when you get this wet, dry it all the way before you go back over it with your pencil. If you put the pencil in an area that's slightly wet, yeah, it'll come out super dark. But you can't, like it almost is chunky, like a chunk stays on there, it doesn't blend out right all the way. It does, I tried that once and it was a bad, I tried it once for a reason. It didn't really damage the paper so much because I didn't push hard, but I wasn't able to ever fully blend that spot out. Okay, let's get some red again. And a lot of this I'll come back with some black to do shading, but I'm gonna blend this first before I do that. See, I can be really sloppy. I'm not really worried about which direction my pencils are moving in. Not that you can see that. This is so much darker than what you were seeing. Oh, I hate that. Let me show you again so you can get a better idea. You can see, oh, that's out of focus. You can see that it's a lot darker. It's even darker than what I'm seeing on camera there. These colors are pretty well pigmented. I mean, not pigmented enough where I would leave it as it is, but yeah. Okay, let's pull some more reds. The main thing here, just get some variation. You want multiple colors here, or even if it's not multiple colors, multiple areas of values where some's really dark, some's really light. That is more important. Again, not worried about where those white spots are going to be. We'll be pulling that back in. This is going to need to be teal in here, so I'll pull some of that background color when I fill this bottom section in. Okay, I'm going to pull now my my purplish red. Let's get some more, kind of a, well, purplish red color. This one doesn't come out as much. It's almost like some of the colors I find to be, they almost feel more clay-like or kind of sticky, like you can feel them really grippy. That's the word I'm looking for. They're really grippy in the paper. This is not one of them, and that was one of the problems that I had with the purple I had used. I may switch over to my Faber-Castell for some of this, but the purple just didn't grip to the paper at all. Like, I mean, I did so many layers. It was for an anemone, or on the clownfish and anemone one I did years ago, and with these specific pencils. And that purple was nothing I did got it as dark as what I wanted it to be. You can see right now everything is super basic looking. That is totally fine. Oops, that should be red here. See, this red has that much more grippy, like it really is much more pigmented, unfortunately, than what you're seeing on camera, but it shows. That purple, not really. Do I have, I do, I could, yeah, this will probably be fine. I'll probably just depend on this red a bit more, which works well with that teal color, so I guess I shouldn't complain. Like here, this would be more of a purple color on the reference photo, but the purple is just not pigmented enough, so I'm going to pull red instead. The values matter so much, so much more than your colors. Get your darks dark enough, your lights light enough, and your work will look good. If you use the perfect color, but your values are off, it's not going to look realistic. If your goal is realism, then your values are your focus, not the color. Oh, we have Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. So love seeing these lovely boys every week. Thank you. Oh, somebody knows. You want your super chat? Say thank you, Vanessa. You guys get a treat. You're having a good night, huh? This is a very good night. Oh my gosh, we're getting low on these. I'm going to have to go get some more this weekend. Yeah, huh? Spoiled boys. Oh, you got the chatters, Gibson? Good boys. Okay, go lay down. Lay down. Quickly. Quickly. We got to work on the speed here. Quick. Lay down. Lay down. That's it. Lay down. Don't make me bark at you. Down. Good boys. All the way, Gibson. Slowest race dog ever. Is the texture you're seeing of the paper? Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like any Wade down. Wade. All the way. Sir. Good boy. Yes, you are definitely seeing the pencils are just hitting the tooth of the paper, but once I add water, it will just dissolve right into the paper. So you won't still end up with that grainy look. Okay, let's get, I do want to get a little bit more, let's pull the tail up here. Just so, part of that's going to get covered with the, is it a Gregorian that he's wrapped around? I don't know. Gregorian, I never say it right. Feathery stick thing. I have multiples in my tank that I don't know how to say apparently. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and blend this out. We'll see how pigmented these colors come out. And I'm going to come back through with some teal as well. Also, thank you again, Vanessa. Oh, good. No one noticed. So I'm just going to add water. And see how like that is significantly darker. Go all the way up to those edges. Oh, I like that French gray. Oh, that's a gorgeous pencil. It blended really nice. And look at that red. Look how bold that gets. So I would recommend to have a scratch piece of paper, because if you're not sure how dark something's going to get when you add water, that can be a little scary when you're working with these watercolor pencils. So a test on a piece of paper can definitely make your life a lot easier. Oh, look at that saturation. That is perfect. Oh, and with how dark this is, when I come back on with, it's a little bit more red in person. That looks a little orangey. I may have to adjust the saturation or the temperature there. But when I come on top with the white, with this being so color saturated, those spots are going to stand out so much. Now, the other thing, I am not going to try to smooth out all of the brush strokes. I want this to be a little bit blotchy, because that's just detail without having to actually put the trouble into detail. See, look at how it's blotchy. Leave it blotchy like that. And this is way more red. I'm going to cool this off with the color temp thing in a second. So for whoever bids on this, just so you know what you're getting, it's better in person. If no one bids, this is so going on my wall. I've been saying that a lot lately, but I keep painting ocean things, and we all know how I love ocean things. Leave it blotchy. And by blotchy, see how I'm switching direction of the pencil, or the brush. Also, see how that's running? That's too much water. Spread that out, or lift some with a paper towel. That is a dangerous thing to have happen when you're working upright at an easel, because if that runs into my background, I have to try to hide it with something. And we've got most of this tail is going to be off screen, or, well, it'll be cut off by the mat. I always say off screen. It's not really the right word. Okay, next I am going to come back over. I'm going to grab my blue, my palette here. I'm going to reload a little bit of color. I'm just going to pull some in, because that is part of the fin that is translucent. So I want the background showing through. Now, if you look at the reference photo, that is like a grayish brown color. Yeah, because that's what color the background was. But in mine, I need to change that so it looks translucent. It needs to be the color of the background. And I'm going to start pulling a little bit of this teal. Not much. A little bit. It's a little too much there. Too much again. Learn your lesson. There we go. If I go too dark, I'm not worried about it, because I am going to be coming back on this with white. Now here, I don't want to go crazy. Just a little bit of, wipe some off there on the tape here, so it's not going to go too insane. Oop, too much wiping it off. There we go. We're going to come around some of these edges. Now, why am I using teal instead of black or some other color for a shadow? Because the background was teal. I want to pull in, again, this reference photo that I use. What I have on my website does have, I think I did put the one where I edited it to this background, but the actual reference photo, he was against brown and gray rocks. I probably should have uploaded that. Anyway, the thing with that is, that's why the reference photo, it has so much of that grayish tone, and I'm not using that. I'll fill that in just so that I've got it even. Let that fade out into my background. There we go. We've got a shadow in here. Let's get some of this built in now with this, and I'm going to come back to my pencils. And you can do this with your pencils too. You don't have to do this with the teal. It's just that it's easier because I have it out. We've got some darker spots up here and a shadow. Again, I want that shadow to stay with the teal in my case, whatever your background color is. Let's say you did purple. You would want your background to have more of the purple in that case. And then again, let me show you really quick what the color is looking like so far. So it still looks a little orangey, and I'm not sure if that's my monitor or what you guys are seeing, but mine's more of a pinky red color. Like, it looks like a red Otter Pop. That is the color. Let me see if I can fix that a bit more. And it's possible, because the teal looks right, and of course I'm not going to get teal and red to be the same, or look right at the same time. We all know that's not going to happen. Too orange, wrong direction. Pull that off. So just remember that background is more, God, there's no way, like, that would be the level of red, but more saturated. So we'll have to kind of choose a happy medium here. I think that's going to be about as good as I get that. Up the color saturation a bit more. It's closer. Trying to adjust this so it's as close as possible. He still looks pretty orange. I mean, even if you make yours orange, it's still going to look good. It's just that that's not what this is, and I want, does it look pinkish to you, Flemmy? Okay, so maybe it's just my monitor. I just want it to be as close as possible so that whoever bids on it knows what you're getting. I'm not trying to trick anyone here. Oh, I think I found a better spot to start keeping my tea that the dogs can't drool on. Okay. So let's go back to doing some shading. Get that a little bit darker. I'm going to start building up more and more contrast. Remember, it's always easier, or not easier, safer to go too light and have to come back and darken it up than to go too dark. And that can be true to an extent with most mediums. Well, some mediums, it doesn't really matter. But it is especially true with watercolor. Some little lines here for that fin. He's also got some spikes coming through in front of that fin. He is a spiky fellow. I think I'm going to change some of these. I'll use the red. I'm not putting much pressure here so that I keep that really light. And I'm still going to come back through with the black, but if I can shade it with this right now, it'll make him feel a part of that background better. How many of you watching have fish tanks? And if you do, what do you have? Spikes are going to come all the way up through here, so we'll just give that hint of where those go. Some little detailing, and of course the shadow under his chin. Okay, I'm going to dry that, and I'm going to come back through and start darkening some stuff up, lightening other things up. I am liking where this guy is going. He's going to be super cute. Oh, hold on one second. That's a good question. Denise said, I use distilled water for acrylics also? No, I don't find that acrylics need it. They're not super sensitive. It's anytime I'm working on paper, that's when I go with distilled. Also, Sugar Mona, oh, wait, here. Boys, do you want a super chat from Sugar Mona? Thank you so much. Oh, you get treats. You get treats. Okay, be easy. Very nice. That was much better, Wade. Good boys, huh? Okay, say thank you. Go lay down. Down. down, 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 down. The snapping of the fingers is, Mom's serious, better listen, sort of, because, you know, sight hounds are very stubborn. Lay down. Boys, down. Wade, Gibson, bad cow. He's like, can't help it. I am a bad cow. Bad cows do what bad cows do. Okay, now we've got our base layer on here. We are going to make it look really good now. So I think I'd already have my black. I've got the red. Let's go ahead. Oh, I've got 2 reds. That's right. Crimson, aubergine, and then what was the other one I was trying? It was not working. The purplish red wasn't very dark. So let's see if this one's darker. Yeah, a little bit. This is the aubergine. Now you don't have to blend everything out with water. You can see this looks beautiful just as it is. Now that I've got the base layer. I always blend the base layers though. You may be tempted just to push harder to get more color pigment. If you push harder, it is not going to blend well. I am going to end up blending some of this out though with the water. This is when we start building up those values. Very, very important. Like right now, it's just this weird flat looking cartoon. Not cute, doesn't look realistic. You can do this in many layers. Just keep a light hand. Don't push hard. So you can pull some of the yellows in here, right around his face. I'm going to pull that down just a bit. And down here, just a bit. When you are not watching art videos or art lessons, let me know. Do you listen to audiobooks? Do you watch like Netflix while you're working, or music? Or do you like silence? I'm typically an audiobook fan myself. If you do listen to audiobooks, what type of books do you listen to? See, like right here, this on the picture would be more black. I'm using the, what is this, aubergine? And it doesn't matter. I only care that it's dark. I don't care if it's the exact same color. It absolutely does not need to be. Is it dark? That's what I care about. Let's see how we're really getting a lot of variation now in all of these values. I need to pull, let's see, I'm going to grab some white. Probably hold off on this a bit. I think I'm going to do a little bit of black. I'm going to blend it, and then I can come on top with some white. You just sharpen these in a normal, like the Coom metal sharpener I use for everything else. There is a lot of paint on my hands. How did I manage to make that big of a mess? I'm usually not that messy. You know, actually, besides here, I think I'm going to play it safe and blend this before I start in with too much of the black. That way I'm not making too much of a muddy mess. I'm going to start with the red where I had put it earlier. You don't need a lot of water on your brush, especially at this stage where we've already blended it. I'm just softening some of this out. See, again, let it be blotchy. I'm not trying to smooth out all those brush strokes. Too smooth looks plasticky. I want that watercolor look. Well, some people would say they don't want that look with watercolor. I like it. So that's what I'm going for there. Now I can go ahead and blend the black area. See how dark that gets? That's why you want to be really careful. If you are new to a medium and something happens and you go way too dark and you don't know how to fix it, don't stress out about it. That's part of the learning process. We tend to worry so much about messing up that we don't learn very fast because we're too afraid to mess up. You need to make those mistakes so you know what not to do when you get further along, where you've had a lot of experience, where you're starting to take things, you've had that, you've had the practice, so now it's time to start being serious about it. You need to have made mistakes so that if that happens, you know either one, how to avoid it, two, how to fix it. Don't be so worried in the beginning of messing something up. Mess it up. That is a part of the learning process. I'm going to go ahead and dry this. Okay, now let's come through and start really darkening some of these areas up. And I can darken some too with the pencil, with the aubergine. Is that aubergine? No, you're purplish red. You weren't dark enough. You sit down. I'm going to be using a combination of aubergine and the black. Again, I'll be coming back through with white, and that's going to make a difference too. And actually, some of the white I can do now where I'm lightening up an entire section. And so this is the white, just a normal white pencil. For the areas with the spots, the dots, those you can see, but they're not super bright. So when I want them to be super bright, I'm going to switch over and paint that with that PH Martin Docs something or another. Bleed proof white. Link is in the description if I did my job right. Very good chance I did not do my job right though. I think if I want a softer white, I can go with this. Again, I will harshen anything up I need to with that other one. It's like these lines in here, these can be a little, some of them can be softer, so I can get this nice soft look first, and then I can sharpen up what I need to later. Let's see, you've got a whole patterny thing over here that's just kind of a weird mess. These are not wiggle worms. You are going to be tempted, I know because I am, to draw wiggle worms. We don't want wiggle worms all over. Look at the shape, how defined they are, and what direction these lines go. No wiggles. This is not a confetti seahorse. And while I'm not trying to make the lines exactly like the reference photo, it doesn't need to be exact, I need to be semi-close. Pretend we know what we're doing. And some of these I'll pull out these nice bright areas. It's gonna look so good. I'm excited. I can't wait to get those details on there. And see how this mostly lightens it? It doesn't bring it to white. Kind of like putting white colored pencil over other layers of pencil. Like putting that over the yellow just made the yellow lighter. Whoops, that's the wrong button. There we go. Okay, let's come through with some of these darker values now. Just look at your reference photo. Look at some of those shapes in there. Just copy what you see. And once I put the white on, I can come back through and make the in-between spots even more bold if I need to, which is very likely, but we'll see. I'm doing these little circles, starting to create that texture. You don't need exact to the photo. You just want to start going with close. And the other thing is, notice that I'm not just filling it in solid. See how I'm leaving some of these light areas showing through, these lighter pink spots. Variation is key here. And it kind of looks like little scribbles. They're like intentional scribbles. This whole area here is going to get a lot darker. And I am starting to put a little more pressure with these pencils because I don't plan to blend again with the water. So now I'm pretty safe to go ahead and push harder. Although, when I get it this hard, when I go to paint with the Doc Martens pH whatever, bleed proof white, that will mix in. If I've got a lot of areas that are really thick like this where I have not blended out, that the white will mix. Itchy Wade, stop chewing. I know grass makes you itch. See how, look at the texture I'm getting here. And this, I'm gonna have to pull over here for you guys to see because it is looking really good and not so great on that camera. But I'm getting a lot of that texture now. All of these little sections in here. And little circly guys. Dots are our friends as always. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the black and start defining some stuff in here. Now notice that my hand is resting over here. That's actually how, that makes sense why I got so much paint on my hands, is because I forgot I had painted that. But that is where I'm resting my hand. If I didn't have that there, I would use glassine under my hand. Get this little bit of gray right under. I think that French gray is my favorite color tonight. I love how that came out. We have almost like little stripes in some of these spikes. And I would rather see you have things too much contrast, too dark and too light, than too mid-range and boring. Get that variation in there. I've told this story multiple times, but there was a pet portrait artist who was on, when I was doing pet portraits on an Italian Greyhound group, and her work was so detailed, but it didn't get the attention, even though it was so detailed and so realistic, but it was everything was mid-range. It was very boring. She did not get anywhere near the commissions that the other pet portrait artists who were on that forum were getting. Get that contrast up. It will make such a difference to the viewer. We often think that the viewer is going to notice that level of detail and think it looks more realistic because of it, or they'll like it better. That's really not what grabs the eye. You have to remember that most of your buyers don't know what they're looking at. They look at it and go, oh, that's pretty. It's usually because it stands out. Hype up your contrast. I'm going to switch back to the purple color, aubergine. Actually, I need to sharpen that a little bit. And if you have any questions, leave those now. I will be answering those in just a moment. As soon as we finish this guy up, which you can bid on, he is over at my website. Pull some little spots in here. Same thing, I want to get some of these dark areas a lot darker. Actually, I think I'm about ready to start with the bleed proof white and then come back in between those spots to hype that up. Oh, good timing, Kelsey. Boys, do you want a super chat from Kelsey? And that's a yes. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Okay, you got another super chat. This is very tasty, huh? Okay, that's a big one. Oh, Big treat. Okay, take it to your bed. Go lay down. Say thank you, Kelsey. Oh, it's just very tasty. Yes. Okay, go lay down. That's it. Lay down. That's all. Down, 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 down. Today. Slowest race dogs ever. Wade, no one wants to look at your butt. Lay down. Bad cow. Lay down. Gibson. Look at him stand there like, meh, I'll just maybe when I'm in the mood. Okay. So what I am going to do now, I'm not blending that black. I don't want it to be like, it would be too harsh. So I've got my Doc Martens Bleed Proof White, Dr. PH Martens Bleed Proof White. There is a lot of paint on my hands. Now this, it is like completely dried in there. And it came to me that way. And somebody, I was reading reviews and somebody said you were not supposed to mix water in with this. It worked fine. That's what I've been doing and it works fine. So I am going to do the same now. And again, maybe that's not how it's supposed to come. Let me know if you've used this. Was yours hard as a rock like this? It works though. Like I was perfectly happy with it. So this one time, I've got a Simply Simmons, just a round number 4. I'm gonna go ahead and use that for what I'm doing here. Again, the link for everything that I'm using is in the video description. And those are affiliate links, so if you make a purchase through that, you help me out a bit. Kelsey said she always mixes hers with water. See, and I don't know, whatever I read that, it's been a while. Whatever I read that on, I'm like, I wasn't sure if that was true or not. I like how that stands out so much. Now I need some highlights over here, but I want those to be softer, so I'm gonna hold off and do that with the, actually I don't even have to hold off. What am I talking about? It's not wet. Do that now. Grab the pencil. So see how that gives me that nice soft look, whereas when I'm painting with that pH neutral, words are hard. When I'm painting, we're just gonna call it the white. When I'm painting with that, it's like thick, it's not translucent, so it doesn't have your watercolor look. It is extremely thick. I've had people ask if they could just use the Inktense white. I'm sure that would work as well. I am a huge fan of dots, especially when I'm doing marine life. These all sort of fan out. And I do have the white watercolor. I know that's kind of backwards. Some people are don't use white with watercolor, and I understand why, because it just does give a different look, but also this is giving me the end result that I want, so there we go. But like with the actual watercolor, I have that, but it is not nearly as opaque as this, even the ones that are supposed to be more opaque. This is definitely, like, if you're looking for opaque, this is the go-to stuff. If you use a different white with watercolor, let me know what your favorite is. No, don't just put random polka dots everywhere. There's a bit of a, like, copy the shapes that you're seeing. I will say this is not my favorite smell. Is this what? Yeah, it's real. No, actually, I think it's, never mind. It's not the white. It's the water from whatever blue I'd used before. It just smells terrible. Can you use gouache? Absolutely. Gouache is just an opaque watercolor, so that would definitely work. If you've got that, that would work really well. See, I stuck my finger in that. I dabbed it and I made those bigger ones, little teeny ones, by letting my finger move the paint. So some of it stuck to my finger there, and so it kind of worked like a paintbrush to apply it or move it into other locations. Now what happens if I go too white and I regret it? Put pencil back over it. No big deal. I mean, I would rather go too little and have to add more just to make my life easier and everything to go faster, but Just don't be afraid to mess up so that you're afraid. Like, it's very common when I work with students to see them so afraid to mess up that they don't try things. That they're like, they don't progress because they're too afraid of making a mistake. Go make that mistake. You're learning. It's fine. Go paint some things that are ugly. That is normal when you're learning. Ah, that would work too. Golden's High Flow Acrylic White. Yeah, you could certainly. That makes sense. I'm liking this brush for the spots. The Simply Simmons is just like, has just enough firmness. Of course, we'll paint some bubbles in there because no marine life of mine is complete without bubbles. I'm just continuously looking at that reference photo. And even if I don't copy something exactly, I just pick one little spot and go, okay, it looks like there's some spots in there. Paint them in. Oftentimes you'll look at something and think that it looks too detailed, like it's going to take too long, it's going to be too hard. The things that have more detail are easier to make look good. You can see me covering a bunch of stuff with dots. I can hide anything with these dots right now. Something didn't come out right, throw a dot over it. No one's going to know the difference. It is much easier to make busy things look good than very basic things. Again, I'm going to come through and darken a few of these areas up in between the white spots, because sometimes the white spots, as bright as they are, they won't feel bright enough. And it's not because they're not, I mean, they're as white as they're going to go. It's because what's next to it isn't dark enough yet. Notice the difference in size in some of these as well. We don't want them all just polka dots splattered everywhere. Oh, he's got nice texture. I am loving this guy. And take your time. Don't feel like you have to keep up with me. If you want to work slower and just pause the video, that is totally fine. Remember, when it comes to speed, being faster doesn't mean you're better. That it's completely up to the individual artist. Some artists just work really slow, and there is nothing wrong with that. Don't feel like you're not as good because of it. That's normal, and especially if you're newer, it is very normal to be slow in the beginning. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and paint now too. This, I'm going to use the white, and I'm going to paint, I think I'm just going to use white though. Yes, I am going to use white, and I'll go over it with some of the blue or French gray. So we've got the little stick guy. Gregorian, I can never get that right. Sea fan. We're going to go with sea fan. It's easy to say. Pretty sure that's what we have going on here. And again, some of this is going to get cut off by the mat. I'm just going bigger because I would rather fill in too much than not have enough. Give him all of his little floofs. Remember, the harder you push, the thicker your line is going to be. We've got floofs on both sides of that little stem. See, right now this is just too white, but when I come on top of that with my pencil and darken a bunch of this up, it will look great. Remember too, when you're learning, let's say you paint something and it comes out totally ugly. You don't have to post it online. I think we've gotten to this idea with social media that we have to post everything we do like it's some sort of confession. Like, oh, here's the ugly thing I painted. You're fine, don't share it. When I first started painting, there was no social media. I didn't have that pressure that I think a lot of people have now that they have to show. You don't have to show it. You're gonna have some ugly stuff. That is okay. Trust me, I don't show my sketchbook for a reason. There are some ugly things in there where I'm just kind of experimenting. Not that I use the sketchbook too often. I should use it more. I just never do. But don't feel like everything you do needs to go on the internet. Paint some things with the intent of never showing anybody. I think that that's really important too. I've known of several people. I'm going to put some dots right around the edge of this. I'm going to put, I know one night, he never gave her crap again. But sometimes our families can be super harsh and think we're wasting time, wasting money, whatever. And it's like, that's a normal part of the process of learning to paint. Anyone can learn to paint if you put the effort into it, the time. It's just that not everyone does. But we all start out painting some really questionable, really ugly things. That is normal when you're learning to paint. I'm going to dry this, stay on electricity. Softer dots out. And I'm also going to start darkening some stuff up and he will be done. I'm going to let that set for just a moment. I want to darken some of that up, but let's go on the seahorse himself where I know that that is dry. I'm pushing really hard at this point. I am burnishing the heck out of this. Jamming that pencil into the paper. You can see the pencils are pretty strong. I say that and it's probably gonna snap, but they're overall generally pretty strong. I mean, we're not dealing with Prismacolor level weakness, like will snap because the wind blew 3 cities over. I'm doing a lot of dots, just build that texture. This guy is definitely going to end up being one of our Patreon postcards. He's going to print beautifully, I can tell. See how I'm just working on those values? These are the final details. What needs to be lighter, what needs to be darker. And whoever wins this, the mat, if you do bid on this, the mat comes with it, and you just need to let me know when you check out or you pay if you want a white or a black mat. I'm pretty sure I've got both. See, and I'm not just filling in solid scribbling all over. I'm doing a bunch of these little dots. And all of these little details I'm doing will add up to making a big difference in the end. It doesn't seem like much. It seems like I'm just randomly moving the pencil all over, but it all comes together slowly in the end. I'm loving that contrast with the black there. I think it almost looks like this photo was taken with a flash or something. Like it's got some weird harshness on the shadows, but I love it. I mean, not that I would recommend using a flash on fish. I doubt this guy wanted to be blinded. Would explain the expression on his face though, wouldn't it? Reminds me of being at the aquarium, and there was an octopus I was trying to photograph, and he was out and he's moving around, and the idiots next to me ignored. There's this huge sign, no flash photography. What do? Take a flash. Octopus flips, freaks him out, he takes off. I couldn't get a photo because they decided to ignore the sign. Thanks, jerks. But what's worse is they freaked out the octopus. Don't scare an octopus. Pretty sure they're smarter than us. That is not a creature I want to upset. It's like making an African gray upset. They can figure out how to get revenge. Now notice that I'm not just going around and making an outline all the way around it. I don't want this to just look like an outline. It's got random areas that the shadows are deeper. I don't want to go that dark. We'll switch over to the French gray. There we go. See, much softer. And look how we built this up. I think that that is very important. When you looked at this in the beginning stages, it wasn't so cute. We had to add a lot of detail to get that texture, but by continuously working and adding that detail, it looked so much better. Also, we've got from Denise, I've got to say this quietly, said, "You are super talented. I'm old, but I want to be like you when I grow up." Thank you, Denise. Nope, don't you get up. You wait to be invited. Do you want a super chat from Denise? There you go. Those are good boys. Say thank you, Denise. Okay, back up. You're drooling on me. Go. Easy. Nice. You can take it. You can't chomp it. That is different. Okay, go lay down. Say thank you, Denise. Lay down. Down. Down today. Go. Wade, don't be a bad cow. Lay down, bad cow. Look, he's not even over there. Bad cow. Lay down. They're getting worse about not listening. We need to have some practice days of me calling them getting a treat, but them having to lay down as quick as possible because they are getting worse about their stubbornness. Adorable stubbornness, but oh, Bubbles, Dolphin Soul. Oh my God, thank you so much. See, this is why we keep Dolphin Soul around. She knows how this goes. Okay, and actually, for those bubbles, and she's black and white. So I'm going to use the black and white pencil, and I'll come back with the pH. Oh, we also need to darken up this a little bit. I want to get a few darker bits. I'm going to use that French gray. And I'm going to put the finished painting over my website as well, so you can use that as a reference as well. How many times can I say as well? Apparently a lot. I'm going to put that on there too because it definitely looks different to me than it is coming out on camera. So you can use both if you're going to follow along. Okay, I do want a teal color in there though. Let's see. Turquoise, perfect. Yeah, that's definitely going to make those a little bit better. Just add in a little bit in there. Okay, so Bubbles. We do a sad face with the black pencil. And I want to stagger these moving up. Put these in a couple of locations. I've got to make sure that they are showing on through the mat though. Some of these may get chopped. Okay, looks like we're mostly in a good location. I'm going to hold this here while I fill that in. Okay, those are good. Now notice that I don't just put random polka dots everywhere. They sort of trail up. That gives you a nicer look. So we're going to do the black there, and I'm going to take my water and a brush, and I'm just going to smudge that down. I want the teal turquoise color in the background to show through. That is very important. I am not trying to remove it completely, so I don't want to over blend. That is really dark. I want to lift some of that. we go. That is definitely a bit dark. I'm going to push some of that up. Much better. Same thing here. And the dart frogs are starting to sing. So if you hear something in the background, that's what it is. Okay, now we need to dry that. And I'm going to use my white pencil and come on the underside with this. This I don't need to blend out because that is coming out soft enough. Then we've got a highlight, which is not going to be bright enough. I'm going to go ahead and use that PH Martin Doctor someone or another's. Clean that brush first. And I want to put a dot right at the bottom and then a little curve on the top. So here's where the light enters, dot for where it escapes. Ah, so cute, I love him. He's definitely one that is much, much better in person. I'm not loving what this camera is doing to this. Let's see if I can show you over here. There we go. That camera never goes in focus if I get too close. But he is actually, I wonder if I can get a good photo with my phone. Let's see, and then we're going to answer your questions. So let me see if I can waste a couple of moments here, because that's what everyone wants, I'm sure. Kinda? Not really. Okay, let me see if I can adjust this and make it work, and then I can upload it. Email it to myself. Give me 1 second. That's not the best photo. Actually, this phone does good photos, but it does not take good photos of my art. I definitely like my last phone better, so that's always fun. Yay for upgrades that aren't upgrades for what you need them for. Oh my gosh, my hands. They're... Okay, tools. I'm using Snapseed. If you need a good photo editor and it's free, Snapseed is so good. Okay, let's... warmth. Oh, that color is actually really accurate. And shadows need to be a bit darker in here. Oh, and I need to sign this too. I'll sign it before I ship it. That's pretty accurate. Let me send this to myself. Oh, we got a bid. Does anyone, I always have these LinkedIn notifications. Does anyone find it weird that people keep trying to add you? Like, I don't even know why I have a LinkedIn, but I haven't updated it or used it in years, and still people will try to add me, and I don't know why. Like, I don't see a real good use for me to have LinkedIn. Oh, I just sent myself something with nothing attached because I am a genius, because I'm rambling about LinkedIn. Attach file. Okay, let me pull it up on this computer. Is it not there yet? There we go. It's almost too. Oh, it's closer. We're gonna go with it. I'm gonna pull it on here so I can show you anyway. Let's add image. Whoa, that's a bit big. But did the wrong thing. You're not grabbing what I need you to grab. Work with me. There we go. So there is the finish. That color's a bit closer. It's not perfect, but it's a bit closer to, it's a little bit overexposed. I'll get better photos of it tomorrow under decent lighting, but for whoever is bidding, that is what he looks like. And again, he is going to be in the matte. So let's pull that back up. Oop, and then I threw my mouse. So the matte will cover. I think black will be the best matte for this guy. I definitely think black would look better. But he is cute. I like how he came out. Super happy with that. Okay, let me get this stuff cleaned up a bit. Okay. I can turn this down a little bit over here. Okay, so one of the things that we were talking about, actually two things I wanted to, bring up is okay, so we have, if you are on Patreon and you use Discord, we've got a Discord channel for any tier. However, there have been issues, at least one I know of, where Discord, when the person signed up to it, it instantly banned her, saying that she violated their terms of service, which she did not. This is apparently kind of a known Discord error. Some people thought that it may be due to a VPN. So if you have a VPN, you may want to turn it off while you're signing up, or I don't know, sign up with your phone. I'm not sure. But, and that's when you make your own, like you have to, Discord isn't on Patreon. It's just that if you're a member, it is able to link you to our Patreon only Discord. So what is Discord? It's just a chat, messaging, like chat app. So there's a group of us of like, I don't know, there's mainly like 5 or 6 of us who've been talking a lot over there. But, you know, if somebody has a question about a certain pencil, I know Rick had a question earlier over there about Prismacolors and Lightfast ratings. And that's a very easy thing in Discord for me to instantly answer you, because I don't always see the messages on Patreon. So if you are able to if you have, yeah, same thing. Lily said, can't sign into bid, same continuing issue, can't upgrade, can't get on. That's different. That's my website. Refresh the page or try a different browser are the only things I can think of, and I don't know why that happens, and I'm so sorry. It is only available in the US, but if you can't, that wouldn't make sense if it doesn't know what state you're in right now or what country. So I don't know how to fix it, because I know that somebody already bid, so it's kind of working. I am sorry. Oh, you haven't heard from tech support. You haven't heard from my website? Or my website, I am tech support. That is not, that's not encouraging, is it? I know. If it's not working, I may be able to see if I can delete your account and we can do something during the week and figure out why that's not working. But the browser that you're using could make a difference. You may have to make a new username or a new, I mean, no one chats on my website. I don't have all comments turned off because I got nonstop spam. So if it's just for bidding, like make a new account and see if that works. But try on a PC instead of on your phone if you're doing it that way. I don't know if that's the issue. I mean, it's a WooCommerce, and then, well, no, it's the auction app would probably be. I don't know. I'm sorry. Besides refreshing, I'm really not sure what the answer is there. But yeah, on Discord, if that's not letting you sign in, then you have to go through their tech support, which apparently good freaking luck. Some people said it took like a month. And one person was saying that they had to just wait for the, it's the phone and, yeah, try making a new account and see if that makes sense. And if you got a VPN going, turn that off for now. That may also make a difference. The VPNs I've been using a VPN. I've been using NordVPN. It's supposed to be like the best. I have to turn it off for quite a few things. It just will not let me load certain pages, like PayPal. I have nonstop problems with my VPN and PayPal. So there may be something going on there, or a different browser. If you're using like Edge, well, I'm going to make fun of you if you're using Microsoft Edge. But if you're using Edge and that's not working, try Chrome. If you're using Chrome and that's not working, try maybe Firefox. If you're, you can try some of these other things. I would say you could try Edge. I don't know. Edge is just, So yeah, there's that. But yeah, as far as Discord goes, some of the, I've had things not work on one and work on another. Yeah. In Discord, we are having fun chatting with each. It's been a lot of fun chatting, sharing dog photos, plant photos. Like we've got different chat rooms for these things. So that has been fun. And I'm sorry if it's not working for you. Let me know, and I will do what I can to try to troubleshoot and figure out how to get you onto Discord. But it sucks because it's like apparently because they're not Patreon. Like it's patrons are allowed. Like we have our own chat, but it's not where I can contact Patreon customer support. They would help me right away. But yeah, that's been a little bit frustrating. But if you already have it, you know it's going to work out fine. But there we go. And Lily, when you say you send an email to tech support for my website or for, that's what I may have missed, or for Discord. If it's for Discord, obviously it has to be theirs. And from what I hear, they take forever to get, like weeks to get back to people. If it's mine, I am tech support and I don't have a way for you to turn into tech support. So if you did contact them, I don't even know where that would have gone. So we need to sort that. Email me, lisa@lachri.com, if it's my website that you're having problems with. The tastiest decaf apricot black tea is listed in the video description. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was an email newsletter. Someone in Discord earlier asked us about that, or in our Patreon Discord asked about email newsletters, if anyone is using those. I personally am, and I love it. It is my most reliable way to get information out to you guys. YouTube, not reliable at all. They don't send out notifications anymore for most anything. They're just very frustrating. Facebook, they may show you, they're probably not. If I post something on Facebook, out of 33,000 people following me there, or 31,000, I don't know what it is because I don't pay attention to Facebook anymore because they're useless. Out of 30-something thousand people, they might show that post to 100. If it gets reactions and a lot of people are responding, like every once in a while I'll post something that a lot of people are interested in, maybe 700. Probably not, probably 100 max. Out of 33 freaking thousand. Like Facebook is useless for our businesses at this point. The only thing that I think Facebook is useful for, and I do this sometimes, are groups. So like I'm in some saltwater groups, and if I had a print or a painting available, they have vendor, one has vendor Monday, one has vendor Friday, I'm allowed to post on that day. Things to sell. That is the only thing that is even remotely useful to Facebook, or with Facebook to me at this point. Instagram, same thing. You don't, like, I'll post that I have a live stream coming up, and my mom will comment, she's like, I just got the notification about that live stream the next day after the live stream was over. My mom follows like 5 of us, maybe 10 people on Instagram. The fact that she's not seeing every single thing her family members, the 10 of us she follows, I think it's less, are posting, that tells you a whole lot about Instagram. It tells you a whole lot about how your reach is just hobbled so badly. So and all of the platforms are like this. And I'm not saying don't use social media. I'm saying don't depend on them. The best thing you can do is build up your own email newsletter. That way, let's say you have something happen where they ban you randomly and then you have no way to contact people. It happened to me on Facebook and I didn't even violate any rules. You might be thinking, oh, what did you post? Nothing. I posted, it was a live stream I did of a red-eyed tree frog. Apparently that violated something. Maybe it didn't. It was a mistake. I got it back, but not everyone gets their account back. You need something outside of these social media platforms. So your website, having an email newsletter there and having your own website is your best bet. These are things you can own that you can control to an extent, apparently, because I can't get people logged in sometimes to bid. So that's a thing. But these are certainly things that are very, very frustrating. So that is, have an email newsletter. I'm using Aweber. I have a link. I think I have an affiliate link on my actual newsletter. So, if you're going to sign up, do me a favor and click the link. But Aweber is one of the better ones. I really like them. Some of the newsletter services you can sign up for, when you're starting off, you're probably not going to have a huge following of people. So Aweber may still have a free option if you don't have that many people to begin with. And then once you hit a certain point of people who subscribe to your newsletter, you pay more. So the other thing, huge tip, when you are building up a newsletter, do not try to get everyone under the sun to sign up. You only want the people who are actually interested in the content that you are sharing, whether it be things that you have available for sale, videos, whatever it is that you want them to see, you only want people interested. Why do I bring that up? It gets expensive. For every however many more, I pay $50 a month, just so you know, for my email newsletter. I forget how many people are on it, like 6,000, 7,000, something like that. And I pay $50 a month on top of $250 a year. I don't know what it is. So it's not cheap at all. You don't want to buy emails lists. There are services where you can get all these people's email. No, you're just going to go straight to spam in those cases, and you're paying for nothing. I only want people on my email list that want to be there. So like I occasionally go through my email maybe once a year, and if somebody in the last year has not, there's an ad in here, in the last year has not opened one of my emails, I remove them from my email list. I'm paying for them for that, and they're not interested. Don't be upset when your family member doesn't want to sign up for your email newsletter, or someone who's not going to be interested in buying things. So that is a very important thing. Don't be desperate to have everyone under the sun. You really only want those core people that are super interested, because it gets very expensive if you are hosting a list that is really large of people who don't care. So that is a huge, huge tip when you're building your email newsletter. Now, to build it, to get people on that list, what I'll do is, and everyone recommends this, offer something. So like for me, if you sign up, you get a free 2 or 3 hour lesson. I think it's a 2-hour lesson. It gets people to click that button to sign up. But again, I have to watch, because sometimes people will sign up to get that free gift, but they don't actually open the newsletter. So then I go through and remove them before I have to start paying large amounts of money. So these are just some tips with having a newsletter, but it is definitely worth doing, because it is something in your control. Social media is not. Social media, if I depended on them to let you know that I have a live stream going, you're just not going to know about them. So that newsletter is just priceless for me. Well, not priceless. I pay $50 a month, and then the $250 or whatever on top of that. You won't be paying that much. Don't hear that and go, oh, that's not for me, then I'm not going to, that's too much money. It is, but you're not going to start with that many. You may have 50 people on your newsletter, and it is worth having. That is super, super good for your business. So definitely get one. Do some research. There were a few, like there was MailChimp. There were a few different options. Read some reviews. I don't know currently who's good, who's not. I know I'm very happy with Aweber. I'm really happy too with Awebers. They have a way that I can automate certain things. So I just copy the last week's email, and I change the URL for the live stream, of course. But it automatically on mine, it uses the RSS feed from my blog, and it automatically puts my last blog post. I used to have to manually put that in. I don't have to do that anymore. It is automated to such an extent that where I used to spend maybe 2-3 hours writing an email newsletter every week, now I just have to spend the time to come up with and write like something that's motivational, or some like an art tip. I always have something on there that's like extra that you just for free get, a quick art tip, some kind of quick motivation. That's like the first thing you see on my newsletter when you get that. I have to write that up, but most of the rest of it, I have to change a couple links. It is so quick and so easy for me to send that out once a week. And then I also send out 5 minutes before the live stream goes up, because obviously social media is not going to let you know. YouTube is not even going to let you know. I'm going to let you know. And the good thing with that, with mine, I find that I have about a 46% open rate, 40 to 46%, which is insanely good for an email newsletter. Having art tips, having things that help the viewer. You're not just trying to sell on an email newsletter. If you are just, here's what's for sale this week, people usually aren't going to open it. And especially these days, because so many of us are hurting financially right now. So that's going to be very hard getting them to open it. And that's a big deal, wanting to get them to open it. So having something within that newsletter, like what do you put in an email newsletter? Obviously, you want to have whatever paintings you finish that week, whatever if you have a sale going, no, I don't say sale, like you don't have to have an art sale, but whatever paintings, if you have something new that is available for purchase, but also have something that they want to open anyway. Like that quick, for me, I do a quick art tip which makes sense because I teach, so it may not fit you if you're not teaching. If you're just selling, that may be a little bit different. You'll have to rework that, maybe tell them an interesting story. This week, this is what happened. And if you can write in a way, if you're good at writing, in a way that tells a story that they may be interested, like, wow, your chicken got into your studio. How did that happen? Are there photos? I mean, these are the things that you can share. I really want a pet chicken. I'm not going to do it. I did get a pet canary recently, though, and he's adorable. You can see him on MeWe and Instagram. I have some videos. He's been keeping me company. Super cute. Has nothing to do with this. Move on, Lisa. But I mean, that sort of thing. If you can get a story that people are like, oh my gosh, what happened today with the chicken? Or if you have stories about your dog, you can start telling cute stories. Like make up cute, like this happened today, and my dog like wanted to watch this on TV, but he couldn't, it wasn't there. And here's a photo of how sad he was. I'm not saying do that. I'm just like, turn it into a story. something that obviously the dog didn't care what was on TV. But you can kind of turn things into a story, but make sure they're related to the art, into how you create it. If you can turn a story, that may, even if you're just selling in your newsletter, if you include that, that may increase your open rate. But in my case, I do some sort of a motivational, some kind of an art tip, something that encourages artists, and that has really, really helped me get those good open rates that are so much more successful than anything I can get from social media reach. So I love my newsletter. I strongly recommend having one. And like I said, you can get, there are some free options. If you don't have a lot of people who are following you right away, there are some free options. So it is absolutely worth doing. Okay, now let's get to your questions. One second. Tom said, can you dilute acrylic and paint and use it as a watercolor? Well, it's not watercolor. I mean, watercolor, that's like saying, can you grind down a rock and use it as gold? They're two different materials. So it's not going to be watercolor, but you can make it kind of look like watercolor by watering it down enough, yes. And there are videos out there that tell you don't add a certain amount of water to the acrylics because it underbinds it and blah, blah. It's all BS. There is just some serious myths out there that are like old wives' tales type thing. Okay, some old wives' tales are true. But the super, I don't know who made it up. It makes sense in theory, but in practice, it's not true. Tests have been done, which proved it's not true. You can thin your paint down all you want. You would have to thin your paint down to where it was like 90 to 95% water before it would underbind. But if you're painting it as a watercolor and you're doing it on paper, it's not even a problem. So yes, you can thin it down and use it kind of like watercolor, but it's not the same because like watercolor has that element where it can lift, or that feature. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it can lift off the paper and you can expose a lot of that white. Again, acrylics are not going to do that for you. So it would be a different way to paint, but you certainly can get a very similar look. Let's see. Oops. Got a lot of questions here. Let's see if I can go through these quickly. Sonic the Hedgehog said, Fabriano is affiliated to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Yeah, it's unfortunate because they were good before that happened. Lone Fallon said, are you ever too old to learn how to draw realistically with no prior drawing experience? Nope. That is like, with instruments, I do think there's an age where you're just not going to learn as easy. With art, absolutely not. I've had 12-year-olds and I've had 70-year-olds learn at the same speed. It completely is up to the individual artist, and I don't see any difference. The only time I see a difference is somebody 12, like under 12. Once they hit 12, everything from then on is pretty equal to an adult, and an adult at any age. So it just depends on the individual. No, age, it doesn't matter. Some of the best artists I know didn't start until after they retired. They were looking for a hobby, started painting, and ended up being phenomenal. So nope, there is no point where that would be a problem for you. Aline said, could soluble graphite be used with charcoal or colored pencil? Also, thank you for all your hard work and passion. Thank you. Yes, it absolutely can. They are good mixed medias. I have at least one water-soluble graphite, and then I did colored pencil over it. I have that over on Patreon. I think they were flowers, pink flowers. But they work great together. And then yeah, charcoal could go on top as well. Now I wouldn't come back again with I would do the water soluble graphite first and then the colored pencil, or then the charcoal on top. I wouldn't come back and try to put the water soluble graphite over that, because now that's not going to be super archival. Well, it won't be archival when it comes to colored pencil because you're mixing a water-based product on top of your oil-based or wax and clay-based colored pencils. But with charcoal, it's not so much an archival issue as you're just going to make a hot mess. So yes. But water-soluble graphite first. And he said, you mentioned using distilled water. Okay, I got that one earlier. Chris said, what materials are you using other than watercolors, watercolors canvas board? Did you paint the seahorse right away, or did you draw it in pencil first? I drew it in pencil first, and I am using Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 300-pound watercolor paper. I don't recommend Fabriano anymore. They are not very good. I definitely recommend Arches Hot Press is who I would buy now. This is just one of my older ones, so that's why I'm using that. But I don't like watercolor on canvas board. I haven't even tried it. I don't think I'm going to like the surface. I need to do some tests. I have enough of it. I need to give it a shot, but I don't think it's going to be my favorite. I definitely like paper with watercolor, but yeah. And I used a 3H graphite pencil to draw this out. Eric said, how do you prevent a mess with soft pastel? Thank you. Oh, that's easy. I don't use them. That is how I prevent it. That is not helpful, but I do not use soft pastels. I use pan pastels, which is different. I don't find those to be super messy, but soft pastels, there is just, they're dry and chalky and I hate how they feel on my hands. Amazing medium. They're beautiful. I'm too weird and I can't use them. So that is how I prevent the mess. Lavinia said, can you substitute parchment paper or wax paper instead of glassine or tracing paper? I have plenty of those papers. Anything is better than nothing. Anything is better than just putting your hand straight on the artwork. So I used to use tracing paper. The problem is that things will stick to it. So like if I slide the tracing paper over and there's a nugget of colored pencil or pencil under it, it can make a line on the artwork. So if you're careful, you can avoid that and you'll be pretty okay. Wax paper and parchment paper, I honestly don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to leave any residue. I just do not know enough about it to say for certain. I know that glassine is safe because it's pH neutral, acid free because it's made for that. So I don't know, but I would rather do that than nothing. So I would rather risk the wax or parchment paper. If you have used wax or parchment paper and you've gotten great results and it never caused any issues for you, let me know. But yeah, that is my answer. Denise said, you are very talented and well-versed with watercolor pencils. Me? Though I excel with graphite and charcoal, watercolor pencil is the only medium I haven't been able to do. Any thoughts as to why? Thank you. And I had a lot of experience with Inktense first. I found Inktense to be easier. And then when I switched to watercolor pencils, I thought, well, if I'm doing good with Inktense pencils, Derwent had sent me some watercolor pencils. I figured, let's go ahead and give them a try. I liked them. So that's what got me into using more watercolor pencils. And then once I did watercolor pencils, I got comfortable with that. Then I decided to go ahead and get some watercolor. So it was kind of like this progression for me. I had to change the way that I thought about them. I think I was trying to make them work initially more like a colored pencil, and it's not the same. But I don't know, Inktense, maybe because Inktense doesn't lift, I just found Inktense to be much easier to get the hang of. Like I put a layer down and it wasn't smudging. Like watercolor, the way that it lifts, if you're not careful, you can make a horrible muddy mess. And so maybe in your case, I would say try Inktense first, get comfortable with those, and then give your watercolor a try again. The other thing could be the brand of watercolor you're using may make a difference. If you're using like Prang, you're just not going to get good results. Or Crayola, you're not going to get good results. They just are not pigmented enough. So the brand can make a difference. The brands that I use that I've liked are Derwent, Faber-Castell, and Caran d'Ache. So any of those, if you're not liking that, then I wouldn't say it's the pencil. I would say it's the technique. And so I would try Inktense first to see if you can get comfortable with that, with them not creating mud because they're not moving and lifting. It's almost like Inktense to me felt like something in between working with watercolor and working with acrylics. Acrylics I was super comfortable with. Watercolor was, but that was like a nice in-between for me where I learned. And so I think that's why those are easier. Like that's kind of the progression on how I got to loving watercolor as well. I don't know if that helps, but you can give it a try. Let's see. Shelly said, hi, Lisa and all. I just got a couple auto stretchers and we'll be trying them on my next piece. Have you tried yours? I've not, and I need to. I've just been, I want to say lazy, but it's just like I'm going nonstop. So yeah, I really need to. I love, like the quality is good. Like I know they're going to work great. I have no doubt they're going to be amazing. I just need to use them. Robin said, is there a difference between Canson MeTense paper and Canson MeTense pastel paper? Doesn't it say pastel? Hold on. Stay. Nope, I believe it's all the same. This one, Canson MeTense pastel is what I've been using. So I don't, do they have a separate MeTense? I think it must be all the same then. I could be wrong. Someone let me know if I'm wrong. Next we have Heather said, I had to buy new blending sticks and they are shedding with every blend. Help, I'm using light pressure. Blending sticks, like the Tortillon, whatever they're called. If that's the case, they may just be bad. It may be as simple as that. It happens. It's uncommon because usually like they can be super cheap. Send me a picture like that. I've never seen, I'm not sure. Nicholas said, have you ever considered opening a TikTok page or a Twitch channel? I love your art so much, especially when you paint killer whales. Oh, thank you. I'm going to be doing that again soon. For myself, for my own office wall. I'll have to tell you guys about that painting. I may have already. Anyway, TikTok. I have TikTok. I used it a little bit. I'm not willing to invest very much time into it because one, it just didn't work well for my content. Like I couldn't post enough. And I don't, there's some weird stuff going on with TikTok being banned in certain locations. I don't know where its future lies. And I'm just not willing right now to invest the time necessary on something that I feel is a little bit more on the risky side, if that makes sense. Like I would rather put that time into YouTube shorts that I know is going to be around for a very long time. I'm just not trusting the TikTok right now. So, and Twitch, no, Twitch, not the, no, they've got a very bad reputation for very many reasons. So that I don't think is going to be a fit for me. I think YouTube is certainly, as much as I complain about the YouTube algorithm and such, Twitch may be worse. I don't know. Maybe, and I don't think Twitch allows you, like, if I stream on YouTube, I technically could stream on Facebook at the same time if I use the right kind of app, which I don't have right now, and I'm not giving Facebook content because screw them. That's a whole other drama. But, sorry, itchy nose. But yeah, I think one of the things Twitch did not allow streamers to stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I think there was a rule about that at one point. I don't know if it's still there. That's weird. That's like, no, I am not trusting that platform. There are a lot of complaints about that platform being broken in many ways. So I'm kind of like, I don't really see the point in trying to build something up on another platform when I already have what's here on YouTube, as much as I explain or complain about that. So I don't think Twitch is the answer either. Maybe I'm wrong. Have I ever used watercolor markers? I have not, that I'm aware of. I don't know, I've used some smart art box stuff that I may have forgotten. Rose said, when is the last time you did something in graphite? Too long. I need to do one again soon, don't I? That is a lesson we are going to need. Coming up, the next lesson. So I've got I'll have to grab it. I'll get that in just a second. I have a glowing, where is it? Is it over here? I think it's over here. Let me see. This is the lesson that I've got to do the voiceover for. So this will be coming up later this week, probably Friday afternoon. Yeah, here it is. So this is, somebody had requested a beginner pan pastel lesson. So I've got this glowing mushroom. It's pan pastel and colored pencil. And this is a beginner lesson. So it's super easy. It's a one-night project. Like this is not a very time-consuming one. So this is great for beginners. And that's kind of how I separate or decide if something is beginner. Hold on one second. If something takes me, if I can get something done in a night, it can generally be considered a good beginner project, something that's not going to take somebody super long to get through. So that is going to be up probably sometime this week, Friday. So that is your lesson this week. Then we have somebody requested a frog in Inktense. So that's gonna be the next one. I need to get my paint. There's an acrylic painting I'm planning that's big, but a graphite. I do need to get a graphite lesson done soon. Message me and tell me what medium, what subject you'd like. Because I probably won't see it right now if it comes up on here. Let's see, what is next? Alice said, what is the difference between copying art and being inspired by it? Could it be a piece of art or a book, TV show, movie? If I draw something that is in the theme of Alice in Wonderland, would that be copying or would it just be inspired by it? Okay, so theme Alice in Wonderland, how themed? That's actually a really good example. If it's the Disney Alice in Wonderland, you drew Alice in the White Rabbit, the cartoon style, the Disney style, or the Disney live action movie, whatever style. If it was in those styles, they are not just copyrighted, they are trademarked. Like I believe there's more to it. Now, this is not legal advice. Talk to a lawyer. I'm just going by what I understand, what lawyers have told me. So that is not in any way, you can do it as fan art, but Disney is very protective of their stuff. So they're probably, why risk it? Now, the original Alice in Wonderland story, the fantasy style character that has looks nothing like Disney's, that's going to be different. And I don't know if that is outside of copyright yet, but you have, when you get into these character stuff, you have a combination of not just copyright, you also have trademark. You can't draw any version of Mickey Mouse in your own drawing and have it be okay. It is owned, it is trademarked by Disney in every possible stretch of the imagination. Could you draw a different mouse in pants? Sure. As long as it's not Mickey Mouse. Like, it would have to be a completely different style. Obviously not him. So you end up with a lot of questions there. And then we have copying a painting versus being inspired by it. Like, there's an artist right now who I follow on Instagram, and she's been doing, like, she'll do foxes, and they're all detailed and realistic and painted in with the color and everything around it is hand drawn in. It's a white, the paper is white, or the canvas is white, and it's lined with like black marker outlining it. And the style is awesome, and I've wanted to do something like that for years. And so when I started seeing her do it, I'm like, okay, you've just put an idea I've had in my head forever, where you have this partially finished, partially drawn, and then partially painted. I would do a twist on that concept. Now, do I paint her foxes and her flowers in the same style? Like, now we're getting, I could do foxes and I could do flowers, but if I copy her style, if I copy the way her foxes are laying down, but I changed 3 or 4 different things, like that, no, that's copyright violation. Like, you're running too high of a risk. Could you get away with it? Maybe. Is it worth the risk? Absolutely not. So, but like in my case, how I would be inspired by that, let's say I want to draw an octopus, not just because I changed the subject, but because I would be doing it different. My lines would be different. The other elements would be different. The way that I want mine to fade into the black and white sketch part versus the part that's super realistic would be very different. But you would be able to see that I was inspired by her. Just, I'm not copying her. People like, I can look at some of your guys' work where I know what painting inspired you, but you also didn't copy it. Like, you made your own. So that is the difference of copy versus inspire. If you copy my everything, let's say I did a scene with whales and you loved it. You did the same sky, you did the same water, you did the same where my water line versus above and under, and you did space like mine. But your whales were slightly different, or you did dolphins instead of whales, but everything else was the same. You're still copying. That's not being inspired. So, you have that. There's so many factors, and there's how much you were inspired versus you clearly copied every brushstroke in my painting. That is copying versus being inspired. Looking at something and being like, oh, you painted a sunset and then underwater had space, and then you put dolphins, and I'm inspired by that. You can paint those subjects. You just can't do the exact same one as mine. I don't know if that makes sense. I wish I had visuals right now that I could kind of make more sense. But yeah, hopefully that helps. We'll see. I don't know. That's a pretty complicated, like, lots of stuff to describe or explain. Fly Meeting to the Moon said, stunning. Folks might just up their Patreon for this postcard. Yeah, this is going to be such a good postcard. The colors are so good. I'm excited. Let's see. I want to read all your answers about the fish later. Just scrolling. Okay, I think we are caught up on questions. These were your answers to my questions. I'll read those later. Thank you guys. I'll open Instagram. If she's there right now, I'll tell you who she is. But if she's not, I'm not going to spend forever. You guys know how I have a tendency to just spend forever looking for the artist when I'm thinking of somebody. She comes up all the time. Like, I see her stuff every day, probably because I like her stuff every day. And now here's a tip. If you are following somebody on Instagram and you're like, wow, I never see posts from them, go comment on some of their stuff and like their stuff. It can be Facebook, it can be Instagram. You are so much more likely to see more of their stuff the more you comment, the more you like. If you don't bother doing those things, Instagram's like, oh, you weren't interested and I'm not going to show you more of theirs. So even though I know I have a tendency to just want to naturally scroll without commenting or liking something, if you put in that effort, you are going to see so much more from that content creator. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, of course, when I want to see it, I am not. Actually, I might be able to go to my likes. One more thing I'll check and see, because I know I've liked some of her stuff very recently. Come on. I swear it does not show me all of my likes. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. If you have not already, please like this video. Please share this video. Just please share this video. You can help me so much. YouTube's algorithm has been killing artists lately. Our stuff is just not reaching many people. So please, please, please share it is the best thing you can do for us. Also, leaving a comment and liking the video also helps YouTube to want to share it with more people. So you could help me a whole lot with that. Thank you again for watching. I will see you next week. We are going to be doing, I forgot what next week is. Not water related, because we've done a lot of ocean stuff lately, and I know not everyone wants ocean stuff, so I think it was between a giraffe and something else. Something land related. But I will see you next week. Make sure to check out our moderators' channels. Links are in the video description. Oh, Dolphin Soul, did you win this one? Yay, it'll go with your dolphin tail. Black mat it is. Oh, I'm excited for you. So again, thank you guys. I will see you next week. And I think that's it. I'm gonna end this and go, oh, right. I forgot the thing that I wanted to say. I don't know what it was. I have no idea. Without treats, these puppies are so sad. Your Patreon pledge of only $4 or more gives them cookies of happiness. Act now and the bad cow gets a treat too. Oh, and you also get over 300 art lessons and a new one every single week, plus other rewards. Sign up at patreon.com/Lachri.